A huge thank you to patron Gal Rowan for suggesting today's video topic. If you want to suggest a topic for next Wednesday's Name Explain video, all you have to do is support Name Explain on Patreon for $1 a month. Find out more by visiting patreon.com/Name Explain, which will be linked down below. Anyway, the way names are formed in the Chinese-speaking world is somewhat different to how they are created in other parts of the world. Noticeably, what we tend to call second names in English actually come first, and what we call first names are placed after them. These given names are often seen as bringing good luck to the kids with them, meaning Chinese parents tend to go with names that have a nice meaning behind them, as opposed to how many names are chosen in other parts of the world where they just sound nice. Chinese given names like Mei, Ling, and Kang mean beautiful, wise, and healthy respectively. It's also very uncommon to name a child after another family member like a parent or a grandparent. This is very different to other cultures where we have generations of people with the same first name. All in all, these are some really unique names which are found not just in China and its territories, but in other parts of the world which speak Chinese like Taiwan, Singapore, and even with people of Chinese ancestry who are born in other parts of the world. And yes, I know that Chinese isn't a single language, but for ease's sake we're treating it as one here. The thing about these names, however, is that for us in the English speaking world, we won't hear them that much on a day-to-day basis, especially when interacting with Chinese people who now live in the Anglosphere and the quote-unquote Western world. This is because a large portion of people with Chinese names don't actually use them when interacting with English-speaking people, and instead use a more commonplace English name instead. Take famous actor and martial artist Bruce Lee, who was actually born in the USA while his parents were visiting but moved to Hong Kong at a very young age. While Lee is his legitimate family name, his parents chose to give a name of Zhonfan, meaning his actual name as presented in Chinese would be Li Zhonfan. The legend goes that it was a nurse at the hospital who gave him the English name of Bruce. Another famed martial artist / actor, Jackie Chan, was born in Hong Kong and actually had the full name of Chan Kong Sung. That's just two examples of very famous Chinese people who are known under English names to the wider world, but there are countless more examples out there. I'm sure many people watching this video know someone of Chinese origins who uses an English name instead of their own. I know I do for sure. This phenomenon of Chinese people using English names has come into being for a variety of reasons. A key reason is to help Chinese people integrate better into wider society. As we established at the start of this video, Chinese names are pretty different to names found in other parts of the world, especially when compared to English names. So many Chinese people decide to use English names to make it easier for them to integrate into the wider world, and especially Western society. Another reason is down to the fact that Chinese names are perceived as being confusing to non-Chinese people. The Chinese language as a whole is very unique. It features its own characters, and even when the language is romanized into Latin script, the words can be difficult for others to read. They can feature sounds English speakers might not be familiar with, and even some letters that make different sounds in Chinese compared to what we expect of them in English. So to save on English speakers completely butchering their names, many Chinese people simply pick a name English speakers will have far less trouble saying. Even when a Chinese name might not prove difficult for an English speaker, someone may still want to change it due to the name having a different meaning in English. For example, there's this wonderful Chinese name which means beautiful and talented girl. The only issue with it, however, is that the name itself is Xiting. So it's understandable why someone might want to use this name in the Anglosphere due to another word it sounds like. There's also a huge sense of liberation that many Chinese people feel with their English names. Names are odd things. For many of us, they're one of our defining features. Yet at the same time, it's something few of us have little control over. On the whole, they're given to us by our parents and rarely changed. For Chinese people, being able to pick their own name and one of their defining features is a really big deal, and that's understandable. Another reason is down to the expectations around names in China compared to the wider world. Apparently in China, giving someone just your first name is seen as a sign of closeness, only reserved for friends and family members. Here in the English-speaking world, we are more than happy to give our first name to anyone and everyone. To save Chinese people on not having to break this taboo, they can just give an English first name and save their true first name for those close to them. English names also have an air of prestige around them in China, being seen as things only those who are educated and well-travelled have. These are just a selection of the reasons as to why many Chinese people use English names. But while that explains to us why, it doesn't explain to us how. As in, how are these English names chosen? Well, once again, there's a few ways Chinese people choose which name to go under in English. Many people choose a name which sounds similar to their native name. For example, someone with a name like Ling may choose to be known as Lin in English, due to the names sounding similar to one another. Likewise, a Chinese person named Hao might adapt their name into Howard or Howie in English because they too sound alike. Instead of choosing a name that sounds similar, they might instead choose a last name which has a similar meaning in English. A name like Hao Yu, for example, means bright moon in Chinese. To adapt this into an English name, someone might choose Luna or Celine, which are names that have deep ties to the moon via Greek and Roman mythology. People can also simply choose a name they like the sound of, regardless of its meaning or anything like that. Like, it could be a name of a celebrity they are fond of. One article I found online highlighted someone called Bowtie, who had changed their name to Jerry. He explained he chose the name Jerry simply because he really liked Tom and Jerry when he was a kid. The freedom that Chinese people have with choosing an English name, plus a lack in understanding the fine details of English when compared to Chinese in some cases, has led to certain Chinese people picking English names a little unconventional, shall we say. From sourcing the internet for odd English names Chinese people have taken on, I found things such as Superman, Dog, Skillet, Seven, Tiger, and Devil, all being used as names. I mean, they aren't wrong or anything, just not really expected names for us here in English. What this shows us is that many people simply pick their own English name, but this isn't always the case. Many Chinese parents pick an English name for their kid to use in the same way they pick their native name too. Some even hire naming professionals to help them find the perfect English name. A 2016 BBC article explains to us how a 16-year-old girl made close to $50,000 by helping Chinese parents choose English names for their kids. Her website, surprisename.cn, is still available, so clearly it's going well. Man, I should be doing this. I'm name explain. I should be giving people names. Go leave a super thanks down in the comments and I'll give you a name or something. What's interesting is that this naming trend of Chinese people picking English names is a more recent convention, seemingly only coming into being in the mid-20th century or so. Prior to this, Chinese people didn't have much connection to the wider world, or there wasn't as much importance placed on being presentable to English speakers either. While this is still commonly happening around the world, there has been calls for Chinese people to abandon this practice altogether. Instead of fitting into the English world and giving themselves names which are easier for English people to say, many are arguing that Chinese people should celebrate their own culture and identity in the wider world and use their native names. And in turn, many of us English speakers should just instead learn how to say these names instead of just presuming the world accommodates us. It's a really interesting debate, that's for sure. And of course, there are people on the other side who think that taking these English names is a good thing for Chinese people and comes with that sense of liberation as mentioned earlier. If you are of Chinese origins and use an English name in day-to-day life, I'd love to hear your take on all of this. Are you happy to carry on using your English name, and how did you even end up with it? I always love hearing from people who are directly related to the topics in my videos. The last thing of interest about all of this is how the world may change in the future. Why Chinese people choose English names as opposed to say French or German names is down to the fact that English is the world's global language, aka lingua franca. This means English is by and large the language of international communication, and this has come about due to the history the tongue has of finding its way into most nooks of the earth. And of course the fact that the world's only current superpower, the USA, is primarily an English-speaking nation too. This could, and a huge emphasis on could here, all change. In recent years, China has found itself expanding in pretty much all possible ways. Many theorize that China could become the next global power, and even become more influential on the global stage than the USA. This could mean the language of Chinese becomes more commonplace across the globe too, and maybe even become the next lingua franca. We're already seeing a rise in kids learning Chinese in classrooms across the English-speaking world. If Chinese were to become the next lingua franca, then there's a chance other languages may have to accommodate it, instead of Chinese speakers accommodating the wider world. This could even lead to English-speaking people choosing a Chinese name for themselves to accommodate the nation and its global influence. Though please bear in mind, that might just be me being a tad too hyperbolic. Name Explained depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explained videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/Name Explained or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT, and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again, thank you all so much.